So we're going to try and see if this is going to turn out okay. So you want to prep your nail just like you would if you were doing any other enhancement, clean your cuticles and all of that stuff. Then you're going to find one of these full cover tips that is fully ABS plastic, so that it's basically as long as it's not etched. And you want one that's a little bigger than your normal size so that it will be able to build a nail under it, just kind of like the polygel or acrygel method. But use the dehydrator like you normally would to just prep your nail, get it all oil free. And then we're going to use the primer, the UV primer from Red Iguana, but you could use any primer and or base coat if you choose to, just so you have some kind of soak off between the hard gel and your regular nail. Personally, I just use the UV primer, and I'm super happy with how it turns out, but just in case, you're welcome to use whichever one works for you. Just remember, if you do use the Red Iguana UV primer, it does require a curing, so you want to put it in the lamp. Oh, sorry, that's my bell very high. You're going to want to put it in for the 60-second cure. I always just do 60 seconds. It's always the safest. And then I'm going to be cleaning up before I cure with a little bit of rubbing alcohol around the cuticles, just to make sure nothing's touching. And now we're going to be opening up the Cover Pink, but you can be using any of the Red Iguana hard gels. I just love the Cover Pink because it's a cover color, so I don't have to worry about my nail showing underneath it in case I don't want to put polish on it, because it leaves this beautiful shiny like top coat looking after. Anyways, so there's our gel brush. This is the L4, so long 4. I personally like the smaller brush. It helps me get into like my small tiny pinkies and little areas, so I personally love it. But we're gonna put this slip layer, or wetting layer, on the whole nail, just nice and thin. That way it tells the gel where to go, just like you would with any other application. And also is really useful because that way more of it will stay on the sidewalls and the free edge when you're trying to get it to, because you need it more so there. It is a little harder, that's why, to get it to stay where you want it, because it will want to pull up in the apex. Here we're actually taking off anything that could be on the edges on the outside, because you don't want to sandwich your plastic in between layers of hard gel, because then it'll be way harder to get off. You'll have to like do sanding and stuff, and you don't want to do that. So you want to make sure nothing is on the outside of your nail tip. And now we're going in with a big giant dollop. I did not go in with enough, so we're going to see me going in with quite a bit more later on, because we're basically trying to build an entire nail just like you would with polygel. Only this is just a lot easier. You don't need anything else like rubbing alcohol, and you don't need to keep like building this whole nail out to the perfect shape and size, because all you're doing is filling in basically the whole shape and size of your nail tip already. So just go in there and just get it nice and smooth. Try to avoid as many bubbles as you can, filling in more so the apex, the free edge, and make sure it reaches the cuticle walls, but not super thick, because you don't want it to squish out the sides or anything when you go to press it on. But we are going to be pressing on gently, but you'll see I cover the whole tip pretty well, and then I'm just going to add in a little bit extra where I need to build up that apex. That's why I like these ABS plastic tips. I believe this is the Model 1s. Model 1's coffin nails, and I love them because they have a really large apex space, so it's perfect for building up this kind of nail. And then I'm just using the self-leveling ability. Sorry about kiddo in the background, he's playing. But the self-leveling ability to kind of just make sure it's staying where I need it to, because it will pull up if you wait too long to the middle and pull from the sidewall. So you just want to make sure that you're either kind of quick about it, and or that you're building up those sidewalls and the free edge more so as well, so that it doesn't all just kind of go towards the cuticle and the apex where it would, because of the shape. So yeah, you basically just want to make sure that everything is covered. There's a good chance you're not going to get it super thick, and that's okay, because basically what we're doing is just building a nice foundation so that you can then go and add on to it, but it will still all be hard gel, and it just sticks really well to each other in itself. Now we're pushing on really gently. Just put it, make sure it's nice and evenly in place, make sure it's not touching your skin, cuticles, and it's exactly where you'd want this nail. And just give it a little baby push, ever so gently. You don't want to be squishing anything out the sides or anything like that. You want to be able to kind of see, that little bit of bubbling, not little bit, so that it's like trying to lift back up, but you know that it's on there. And then you want to just gently hold it. Once it's perfectly in place, try to do it semi-quickly. Clean off anything off the edges if it does need it, and then get it right into the lamp. You're going to cure it for at least 60 seconds. I try to do 60 seconds with my finger kind of holding it down, and then I'll check, make sure it's perfect. By then it usually is pretty cured, so you can't move it, but then you will put it in for another 60 seconds without your finger over it, just to make sure it's fully cured. Now we're trying to get it off. I don't know why I thought I could just try to pull it off with my fingers. I'm silly. You'll notice I grab a cuticle tool. Anything that's thin and sharp will work, but just please be careful. It's so easy to just like cut right into like your freaking skin when you're trying to pop these suckers off, because it is not going to be super easy usually. It just isn't, and that's okay. Like, it works, and it's doable, but just be very, very careful. And then I'm so sorry, I got out of frame and I didn't show it actually popping off, but you'll see it on the table there. So it did come off pretty cleanly. If you are not sure where you're putting it or where you're pulling it off from, look for like a corner that maybe is thinner. You don't really want to use on the free edge because it could crack it, but you'll see here too, it's pretty good nail, a little translucent. So I would want to add another layer after.